Tayjon C, and I'm back once again with another episode of the Highest Game Project. Now, today, I am highly honored with a very intelligent, beautiful, inspirational woman. She actually came to me and she did some work for me. So I wanna introduce her. You know what? Introduce yourself.
Cool. First, thank you so much for having me. And my name is Winifred. I'm a creative writer from the DMV, born and raised Maryland specifically. But I'm first generation American. I tell people that all the time. Both of my parents, born and raised Haitian, and I'm proud Haitian. But yeah, so I'm a creative writer. I'm a podcaster. Currently a few weeks away from completing my program with human resources management, master's degree. So I'm very passionate about HR. I'm passionate about writing. I love, talking about books and growth, um, and healthy mental space. So I kind of just pull from all those different directions and just kind of talk about it, share information about it.
This is some good information because I started listening to your podcast myself, and I got a lot of good information, but I don't want to jump the gun too much. I want to back up a little bit. So
Okay.
you actually kind of answered my first two questions within your introduction. So cool beans. So I'm gonna ask you, how did you get into writing?
You said, how did I what?
Get into writing.
How did I get into writing? It's funny because I remember in the second grade, we had to write in class, we had to write poetry. And everybody was like moaning and groaning. They didn't want to do it. And I wrote a poem, and the teacher was like over the moon about it. She was just like, wait, everybody stop. Like, I'm going to read this. Winifred wrote this. And she was just like, you are a great writer. And that was like a shock to me. So that was the very first time anyone ever, I guess, acknowledged something about me was special. Not to go there, but it was just like, okay, this writing thing could be a thing. And from there, I just continued to grow and learn. And, big ups to the, I guess, public school system, because there were so many courses. Like we had writers workshop and all these different things to fuel people with their writing. And, not every kid is going to be excited about that. I was probably the only one that was. But for me, it was a big deal. So that's kind of how it started. And I just continued to write different things beyond poetry to stories to, songs, whatever.
Mm, okay, so how many body of work do you think you have written so far?
That is the funniest thing because I have a pen name that I don't disclose. I don't disclose because then people gonna know what I'm talking about, who I'm talking about.
Respect.
Um, but under that pen name, and it took me a long time, and it's so funny because from second grade when I discovered, the whole writing thing, it took until I hit, I think I was 29 to publish my first book. And, for some people, they're probably like, whoa, like, why did you wait so long? And for me, the creative writing thing was to, I guess, maybe people, my family or whatever, they would say that's kind of like a creative hobby. It wasn't necessarily like a career. Nobody encouraged me to write a book outside of people in school. So I would have these kind of dreams and I would want to write, but then when I get home, it's kind of like focus, get that degree, get the straight A's and go to college and do stuff unrelated to writing because writing is just like a fun thing. So it wasn't until I think I was 29 and I was just thinking to myself, man, like I'm really about to hit 30 and I've never done the one thing that I feel like I'm on this earth to do. And I literally I did the whole pen name thing. And I was just like, all right, put some stories together. A book of short stories was my first. And then a book of poems was my second. And right now, I am working on my first book under my name, Winifred, because I'm not hiding no more. And I'm really excited about that. I write all the time, but as far as published, 2 published works.
Oh, I mean overall, but okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Probably like 1,000 plus, probably.
Oh, tons, tons,
Right.
tons, volumes. Like it's ridiculous.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But for people who don't know, what exactly is creative writing?
Creative writing, I would define, that's a great question because to me, they're like different levels, I guess, or different kinds of writing. Um, but I feel like you can infuse creativeness or creativity into whatever you write. And that's something that has taken me time to learn as well. Like to me, creative writing was like, okay, fiction, or something artsy, something that really takes like the use of your imagination, um, building stories, building characters. To me, that was always creative writing. But as I've learned in my professional journey, like even at work, with presentations and writing policies and procedures, I can be creative in those areas too.
Mm.
So really creative writing is just about anything that you write, because I feel like it takes creativity to really, I guess, hit the mark or really get that message. Whatever your goal is in your writing takes creativity. But I just like to highlight that part because it's just like, okay, if you're writing, some people think there's a difference between somebody writing some, I don't know, rules and regulations versus somebody writing something more fun, something entertaining. But there's creativity in all of it. I hope that answers the question.
I mean, ain't no wrong answer in that question. 'Cause you said to me. Once you say to me, it's your feeling. That's how I feel about certain things. Whatever my answer is, I feel like it's right. But I wanted to explain to you why I wanted to interview.
Okay.
One, you're a fan, which I do appreciate. Two,
Oh.
actually write, and I got into writing because I was a theater geek in high school.
Mm.
I didn't want to perform anymore because I'm like I did Cinderella, the original, Cheap About a Dozen, and I was just like, okay, we doing these old plays now, so I kind of wanted to write and start directing. But I realized I never knew a writer until I met
Mm.
you. I'm afraid I
What?
never known a writer that how I want to word this. You weird. How do I want to word this? A person that told me they was a writer. That's the best way I can put it. Until I met you,
Mm.
and that's literally what 34, almost 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I was really interested. And then listen to your podcast. By the way, you have a very soothing voice. I lie to you not. Sometimes I want to pour a glass of cognac, light a candle, and just listen.
Not the yak.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
1738. That's just sit back and listen. No, it's very soothing. Like when I'm in my car driving, I just turn you on the loudspeaker and be like, hmm,
Oh,
ah, interesting. And you have
I
very good
appreciate
points of
that.
view. Oh, you welcome. Like even with the writer's block, because I'm going through that now. I've been working on the script for 5 years, and I swear I got the biggest thing of writer's block right now. But you said it don't exist,
Nope.
and I figured it out. I'm doing too much stuff. I figured it out. I'm doing too much.
Mm.
But it's like the last week, I actually went back and started reading it again. I'm like, yeah, I could finish this. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Oh.
I thank you. But speaking of your podcast, and I just wanted to hear you go on a rant real quick.
Mhm.
You said you feel some type of way about the way people treat writers.
Okay.
Go.
It's amazing because writers, for the most part, I know times have kind of changed a little bit now, but the writer is kind of like that person you don't see, like that person that doesn't really get much acknowledgement, depending on the field. Now, if it's like an author of a book, you know who wrote the book. But if it's like movies or music or even in business, like pretty much everything that you look at and enjoy, there is a writer behind it. So it's just kind of like put some respect on our name. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to writers, that's kind of looked at as kind of, I guess, relating to how I grew up. Like, oh, you can write, great. You know what I mean? Like use that writing for some other career. Like you can't just be the writer, you know? And it took me a very long time to actually introduce myself and say, hey, I'm a creative writer. So I think it's funny that you said that earlier because for the longest time, I would always like refer to, you know, my degree or, you know, whatever job position that I had, you know, corporate full time. But now I'm like, this is me. I do this. I am a writer. And that was pretty much like the foundation for the podcast because it's like, we are important, you know, it's a talent, it's a gift. And behind every success, everything is a writer. So that's how I feel.
I heard that. I ain't mad at you on that one. And you know what's crazy? I never thought of that way. Never. But thinking about it, like, yeah, they don't say thank you to the writers. They like director or whoever, the
The
producer,
cast, the
cast.
crew,
Right? They don't never say and to the writer that wrote a great script. I'm like, oh, what up? I'm just like, wow. So you're a very.
and at the award shows, like
I
they
don't.
don't
I boycott
televise.
them. I don't boycott. I boycott them.
Oh, okay.
I don't boycott them. Personal reasons, but that's another episode.
Understood.
All right, so with all the writing you have done since the second grade, how has it affected your life thus far, good or bad?
It's always been good. It's always been a pleasure. It's been my outlet. And it's kind of like this thing that follows me everywhere. Like for the moments that I was focusing on other things, like okay, if I'm in school or, you know, trying to get this job or whatever, writing was always kind of like something I did to express myself. Because people who know me really well, I am not talkative. I'm not a social butterfly, you know, even us being on Zoom, like I know I might get on IG and do my little whatever, but I'm not really one that likes to, I guess, necessarily be in the forefront. But my writing would lead me to different places. You know, so it's just one of those things that I just couldn't get away from. And I feel like it is a part of who I am. And I feel like, you know, that's my special gift from God. And it's just kind of like, just accept it, basically, just walk in it. Because even when I was in college, like undergrad, you know, out of nowhere, um, the director of the program that I was in, she was just like, you should write a book. Like, have you ever thought about writing a book? And she gave me all these resources and she'd be like checking on me, like, oh, did you write? Da 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 da. And it's just amazing. It's just like, it's really been the best, I guess, the best part of my life. It really has. It really has.
Right. All right, so I just listened to an episode yesterday, and it's interesting. You talking about names,
Yeah.
which is cool because I know when I start, if I do write something, I start, I kind of use my name, but I eventually go back and change it. I just use names I'm familiar with. And you said don't do that. So I'm like, am I messing up? Like I don't know. Like a lot of things you say, it makes sense to me. It makes me go back and think like, hey, it makes sense, but what am I missing? So why wouldn't you use common names?
I think it's okay to use common names, but I think a lot of us are dealing with, I guess, pressure. You know what I mean? Like you want to just kind of use a name that's easy to pronounce or use a name that people are familiar with. And it's like, why? Why? You know, like I guess think outside of the box. Like you can use your traditional names. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think too many of us can have a narrow-minded view of what characters are supposed to look like, be like. But here in the real world, you know, I use some examples. Like I've met people with all kinds of names, you know, names that they made up or names from, you know, whatever country they're from or their culture. And I think it's beautiful. I think it adds to the story, you know, it adds layers. And I think that names, it's just a part of creativity. You know, I think names really do have more significance than a lot of us realize. You know, even when you pick a name for your child, you know, there's something special about the reason why you pick that name. Or, you know, if you start a business.
I don't know why my child mother named our daughter her name. I
Okay.
mean, it's a cute name. I'm just trying to figure out where she got it from.
What is it? Can I ask what it
Yes,
is?
it's Tayjon. Tayja. Tayjon.
That's cute.
No, it is, but it's like I was like, huh? I mean, I wanted. All right, selfish moment. I wanted her to have a girl version of my name, but
Brianna.
exactly, but it didn't work out that way. And I was like, where
Hmm.
did you get Tayjon from? Because at first,
But where did she get it from? Did she
I
tell you?
don't know. She told me like her and her mom was in the living room doing whatever moms and daughters do, and she was like, I think I'm gonna name her Tarjay. And I was like, ain't that the ghetto name for Target? And then she said one day her and her mom just looked at each other and said, Taja. I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. But what about my name? You know? But
Oh.
I ain't worried about that. That's still my baby. But I'm just like interesting because I'm like, what led you to that?
But that's dope because look at that story that they have, like that moment, that she shared, and they're just like, "Ooh, this is the name." Like that moment is a story in itself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's unique, it's creative because some people will just, open a name book, which, in that podcast episode, sometimes I look at, babyname.com and stuff like that. I look at meanings of names. I look at origins of names and see if that aligns with a character, or maybe I just want a fun, unique name. Like, for example, in the book, The Coldest Winter Ever, I know they just came out with the sequel for those who are familiar. Winter Santiago. Like, how dope is that name? Like,
Oh,
Winter Santiago. Like, I would have never thought to put that together, but it's just like one of those names that stand out. You want a standout character, you want something people will never forget versus, oh, I'm gonna name you John Smith character.
right.
No shade to John Smiths, but it's just like, how many John Smiths do we know?
A lot. Yeah. And that's probably why I don't go by my birth name because I have a very traditional name. I have a very Caucasian name, but that helps on job applications though. And then when they call, put on the white voice, they be shocked when they see me. I'm being honest, and I think that's because I was raised very traditionally as far as names and whatnot. So that's probably why I wanted another reason why I wanted my daughter to have a more traditional name. But you know, from 20 to now, I'm like, it don't matter. It don't
Exactly. It's
matter.
what you want. I mean, or what,
Her
you
mama
know.
doing it.
And
I had no
I,
thought for that. None.
I love that you say that though about names because, my name is Winifred. So it's just like, and that was a hard name growing up.
You know what?
And
Actually, not for me. When it came to your name, when I actually heard your name, I thought of Freddie from a different world. Because that was her name. That was her actual name on the show. I was like,
yeah,
hey, I wonder if she called herself Freddie. But she said Winnie. That was another nick. That's what Saja called her. I was like, that's dope. I think you have a lovely name.
thank you. It's dope now. But back then, it was just like, like I would get teased for that name. There were all different kind of variations of the name. They would call me Wonder Bread. Right. Winter Fresh. Okay.
I'm
My gym
sorry.
teacher would call me that, Winter Fresh,
Oh
to the
wow.
front of the class.
Oh wow.
So it was rough, but you know what? There came a point, and I'm named after my father. I love my father. My father is the best. So I'm named after him. He picked the name for me. And the meaning of the name is peaceful friend, blessed one, which I am. People that know me, I'm like the most peaceful, like calm waters, very kumbaya. So it works for me, and I'm proud of it now, which is why it's like Winifred on everything. So yeah,
Hey, hey, you might want to copyright that one.
that's facts.
Yeah, you want to copyright that one with Wonder Bread. I'm sorry. That was funny.
It is funny
That was
now.
funny. But I mean, I guess because I have heard some very, I'm gonna say inappropriate names You shouldn't feel bad. I met some Alexis's, some Mercedes.
That's okay.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Those names belong in the strip club.
Oh,
I wish I would have a child. And somebody said, yeah, we gonna name her Mercedes or Alizé. I'm like, nah, son. Nah, matter of fact, I'm suing you for custody now.
oh
Ain't
my
no
goodness.
excuse. No, nah, nah. It's just I don't know, like certain things I don't like to associate myself with. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
act like I'm a saint. I'm not. But I just know for me and my background and where I'm
Hmm.
headed, I don't need no I don't need no more strikes for my baby than what she gonna have just for being a woman and being black.
Mm.
So and some I've witnessed it where some applications it'll be a Laquana, Jaquan, whatever. Oh yeah, let me put you over here, and they could be very qualified. I seen one with my own two eyes. So and I didn't like my name at first. I was like it's so common, but when I saw that, I came home. I looked at my mama and said, "Thank you."
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with that
No,
because
no, 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 no. I'm just saying for me. I'm not saying for everybody. I'm cool. No, don't get me wrong. It's messed up. Don't get me wrong. It's very messed up because they could be
yeah.
very qualified. They can't help what their parents did back in whatever. In my case, the 80s. You know what I'm saying? We can't help that. But it's just like just to see that it's jacked up. So I try to navigate away from it. Listen,
Yeah.
but that's why I'm doing this. That way my kids ain't gotta work for nobody but dad.
Ah, if they want to.
Trust.
That part.
That's true, but true. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Very true. I'm pretty sure they would. Well, especially my daughter now. She's my only child. I'm pretty sure she would. She
Hmm.
just don't know dad gonna have her scrolling. Told her so about 6 months to be humility.
Mm.
Yeah, like if I turn this into a very big empire,
Speak
yeah,
that.
yeah, you can, if you want to go out there, fine. But no, you always got a job with that. But
Well, only I hate to go like, but okay, so because I'm actually writing a book about that as well.
what
So that's
nepotism?
like perfect segue. And I don't have any children. So and I know when I say that, people are like, well, you can't talk, you ain't got no kids. Which, hey, absolutely. I don't have a child yet. But I know what I experienced and how I was pretty much led, for example, like we spoke about, I'm a writer.
Right.
I am a writer, and I was kind of pushed into the arena of healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like, healthcare is where the money is, where the money resides. You knew that was coming. So it was like, do this, do that, being pulled in different directions. Nobody asked me what I wanted to be. Nobody asked me, what my goals were. I was being told, instructed, and I don't regret it because, I do have a passion for healthcare, but it was influenced. And I think that, when children discover or people discover whatever it is that they want to do, even if they are children, I think that we should push towards that versus, do this because this is the industry that I'm in. For example, oh, what actor was that? I want to say it was, man, I'm blanking on the name. Oh, Anthony from Grownish,
Or Anthony Anderson.
Anthony Anderson. So yeah, he has this whole huge empire, and his son wants to act, and it's like, okay, perfect. I got everything lined up for you. And his son said, nah, like, I don't want to work for you. I want to do this myself as my own person. I want to, go out there and do my own thing. And sorry, we're getting off topic, but I just remember watching that interview, and he kind of had like this pain in his voice about it, because it's like, I didn't set up, rolled out the red carpet for you, and you're gonna turn around and say you don't want to work for me. But I think stuff like that happens, and that's kind of what my book is about, just kind of being open to whatever the child is into.
Oh no, 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 no. Get it twisted. No, no. What I'm basically saying is she don't have to work for me, but it's always gonna be there if you need. That's all I was saying.
Gotcha.
That's all I'm saying. I was never, because my dreams were shot down, and I don't ever want to do that to anyone else. You know?
Mm.
So I was like that's why I kind of got a bad boy. I'm gonna do what the hell I want attitude at times. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Like if I get irritated with somebody, I would intentionally blast Bobby's Brown on my prerogative. That's my way. Yeah, subliminally telling you I'm doing things my way. That's
Yeah.
how I deal with stuff. But that's not here nor there. But why are we talking about jobs? You said you quit several toxic jobs.
Several.
What is a toxic job to you? Because I have my own definition.
That's a great question. A toxic job basically is set up for you to struggle. It's not set up for your success, because there are different levels to toxic jobs. Like a toxic job could be you have the boss or the manager, whoever, that treats you like crap, calls you names, um, treats you with disrespect, treats you differently from the rest of your coworkers, or they allow your peers to treat you some kind of way and they know, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not doing anything about it. Toxic job could also be you don't have the tools and the resources that you need to get the job done, but yet they looking at you like, how come you haven't finished this project? And you're just like, what time do I have to do this when I have a gazillion things on my plate? I don't have any assistants. Or you're using some old antiquated, software system, and it's virtually impossible for you to achieve these organizational goals. But yet you're being looked at like you're the problem. It's so many factors, and combinations that make a job toxic, to where it's, messing with your mental health, where you're dragging yourself into work because your spirit is broken. Like there's no hope for you. They're basically saying, oh, you could get fired at any day. Like leadership will be like, hey, if you don't do this, you're gonna get fired. They will be like, oh, I've heard people say in meetings like, oh, I guess you don't want your job. And they will do that because you decided to speak up about something that was wrong. You decided to speak up against unfair treatment. um, and because of that, they want to retaliate and basically scare you straight. That's toxic. So it's a lot of levels to it, and a lot of it is illegal, and a lot of people just won't exercise their right, to address situations because of the fear that organizations put in us.
Oh, well, I actually quit a job like that. Somebody said, you must not like your job. I said, you're right, I don't. I threw the name tag at him and I walked out.
Woo!
I just found that to be funny because that's something people don't talk about. And I appreciate you talking about it. Because that might give somebody the ump like, you know what? She's right. I'm gone. Deuces. Now, you have the SHI market. What is that?
Yes. Okay. So while I was in between jobs, and because I had quit, toxic job after toxic job, I'm like, nope, not doing that. And, I was applying, I was interviewing, I redid my resume, I did all the things that they say you should do when you're trying to find another opportunity, but the opportunity did not present itself yet. So I started going to networking events, because I was like, okay, I've done it all, but I haven't been networking. So maybe this is the missing piece of the puzzle. So I started going to these events. Some of them were good, and some of them were horrible, making me feel like, why did I come here? Like I've walked into a room, and I'm dressed professionally or what have you, whatnot, and people are looking at me like, why are you here?
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And I will walk into the room, people won't speak to me. And it's like, this is a networking event. Like, what is going on? So after going through a series of the good and the bad, I was like, you know what? I should make my own networking group. And just make sure that it's the kind of environment that's welcoming, that's beneficial. It's not just about people in a room, running their mouth about whatever, like actually having valuable conversations, people who are genuine. And so I was like, I'm doing this. And, I registered the LLC. SHI acronym was side hustle income, because at the time I was like, working on my writing on the side, and I knew so many other people who were doing things on the side. Why not come together and do these events and really see if we could collaborate? And I actually hosted one event, and it was good. I had a lot of different people with different talents and different whatevers, and it was great. And I was like, I can't wait to do this again. And then COVID happened. Dun dun dun. Pandemic shut down everything. My plans fell through. So it's still something that I'm working on, and I'm trying to figure out how to revive it, because I tried to do a virtual event and it was nowhere near as successful as the in-person event. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a networking group for people who just want to share what they have going on, their dreams, goals, link with people, and that's what it's about.
Okay. All right. So, give us some information about your podcast and the acronym it stands for, which is dope, by the way.
Thank you. So my podcast is, WINIFRED, which is a play on my name, of course, Winifred, which is writing, inspiring, notably, intentionally for readers everywhere to discover. And it's so funny because the way that I came up with the podcast, it's like I knew I wanted to do it, but I just couldn't figure out a name. And I was just like, maybe I just call it the Winifred podcast, right? Because Winifred on everything, on everything. But I was just like, man, if I could figure out how to make it an acronym, that would be so cool. And I literally sat with a piece of paper for maybe like 20 minutes. And it worked. It worked. And I was just like, that actually makes sense, because when you're writing, you have intention, you want to write noteworthy stuff. You want to inspire, and you're not just writing it just to write it. You're writing it for people to read. So it worked, and I stuck with it.
Yeah. Hey, like I said earlier, her voice is so soothing. You be like, it's that alone will make you listen, but
Oh,
to actually listen to what she's saying, it's a whole nother thing. I think I have a lot more episodes to go. Like, I'm a busy person. I have this, coach football, got my daughter, so. And one thing I do like about your podcast, you actually don't make a lot of long episodes. And I think that was my downfall. But maybe like what, 20, 30 minutes, which ain't bad. So
yeah.
get you a candle and some yak or whatever, a glass of wine or whatever, and let her voice caress you.
Oh,
Ease your mind. Ease your mind.
caressing folks. I didn't know I was doing that.
That's how soothing your voice is.
Thank you. And I appreciate you listening. For the first month or so, I had like, I want to say 98%, females listening, which is cool. I'm all for the women. But, as we got into February, I started to get a bigger male following, which is great, and I appreciate you listening. So thank you so much. And I do try to keep the tips just like go, go, go. But when I interview people, I want to let them speak. I want to, get to whatever we need to get to. And I like that your, episodes are longer. You really kind of dig deep into, certain things that you talk about. So it's cool.
I try, you know, I try, but like I said, it depends on who I'm interviewing. Like, Darian and Ray, they're doing an hour plus, and it was fun. Like seriously, I wish I had more time because I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm.
They can go. Like I get mad when they don't record, but we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about you.
Yes, I'd be like, when is the next? I'd be asking, I'm like, oh, when's the next episode?
I'm gonna be funny real quick. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. What would you say is your favorite episode of your podcast so far?
Oh, my favorite episode. For me, my favorite episode, and that's tough. That's tough. Like that's like saying who's your favorite aunt or your favorite uncle or your
Oh,
favorite
I can answer
child.
those questions though. That ain't hard for me.
I love all mine equally. But For me, the episode, which is called Is That a Read, featuring Ty Allen Jackson, that is my favorite episode.
See, I ain't get that far yet, so I'm about to go check that one out.
It is my absolute favorite because, I touch on it a little bit in the episode, but it was kind of how it came together. I didn't have an idea or a concept or anything for a podcast at the time that I met Ty. And I met him online. He was doing a live on Instagram talking about being an author. And I hopped on his live, which is something I don't do. That was probably the first time I ever hopped on a live. And I got my like little bonnet on or whatever. And yeah, it was so random. And I just blurted out, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And he was just like, well, when you ready, let me know. I'm coming through. And I'm
Mm.
like, wow, like how awesome is that? And I was like, okay, I didn't have anything written down, but I was just like, okay, well, when I'm ready, I'm a holler at Ty. Then I began to research Ty and saw all the great things that he's done, all the recognition. This guy is really doing it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that God put this together, because there's no way in a million years I would have ever asked him to be in my podcast. If I had known at the time that he was really out here doing stuff, I would have been too shy, too nervous, like, oh, I'm not ready yet. Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of doing things because we feel like, oh, well, I need to be more established. I need this, I need that. I barely had anything. And he came on and blessed the podcast. So that's definitely my favorite.
See, it wasn't that hard, was it? I agree with you. I think we do talk ourselves out of a lot of things because I was supposed to launch this show last year,
Hmm.
but it wasn't time. And I felt like when it happened the right time. And I'm slowly picking up, I'm slowly picking up. So I totally get what you're saying with that one. Who we? So you've been doing it all effort, all interview, but can you give us the people a little bit more jewels about life writing and just being with one? Hold on, I gotta get where your background music at because your whole setup is just like soothing. Like seriously, no, from the music to everything is just soothing. Where my cognac at?
Yeah.
Some juice.
Shout out to Anchor. Anchor is a great platform because so many things are kind of set up. Like, you still have to do the work. You still got to pick, figure out what sounds right and, play around a little bit. But use it. And I think that the way they have it set up, and how they, distribute your episodes on all different platforms, streaming platforms, to me, it's just been really easy. Um, but but yeah, I mean, life as a writer is just like it's everything. It's everything, and I definitely have the goal to be a writer, like exclusively. That's the ultimate goal. But for right now, I love podcasting. I love coming on the show and just, I be freestyling half the time. A lot of stuff isn't written down. And I'm like my biggest critic because when I listen back, I'm just like, man, I said so many times and I'm making all my little noises. I'm just like, but yeah, I think that we are, we can be whatever we want to be. And as long as we put the effort into it, do our research, I mean, we could just carry our torch, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm a writer, whatever is dealing with writing. I'm in it. I want to talk about it. I want to help teach people, reach people. I get inspiration from everywhere. I get inspiration from other people who are in the same industry and outside of the industry. You really can pull inspiration from anywhere. So
Yeah. I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna bring you my script where you can like tear it apart, let me know what I'm going wrong. Like I'm being serious though.
okay, hey, let's do it.
I mean seriously. I said 5 years. That's a long time. But so what would you tell an up and coming writer that easily get discouraged? What would you tell them?
And I would tell them to make sure that whatever they're writing, that they're writing it in their own way. I think that a lot of people, and myself included, get kind of hung up with what we think our writing should be like, sound like, look like. Some of us want to just go with whatever is trending. Oh, well, everybody's talking about this. I need to write about this. Or if I need to tell this story, I need to tell it in this kind of way to attract the reader. But to be honest, like the best thing you can do is be yourself. Tell it how you want to tell it. Don't let people influence, you to the point where you're changing your story. Because that was kind of like me with the pen name. Like I was hiding behind this name because I didn't want, people trying to look at my work and say this and say that. But it really doesn't matter. The story is yours. The power is, within your hands. So don't get discouraged. I would say read a lot, you know, reading more, I feel like makes people better writers. Um, and just stay motivated.
All
Stay
right,
motivated. Keep the end goal in mind.
there go the jewels, y'all. There go some more jewels for y'all. If y'all haven't been picking them up, because she been dropping them ever since we started. She really has. So what's next for you?
Whew, what is next for me? Man. So I have this book that's coming out about toxic work culture. It's dropping this summer, 2021. I don't have the exact date yet. But that is like my biggest project right now because I feel like it's really needed. It's really needed.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Like,
need a copy of that.
I got you.
Although I don't plan on going back to no toxic job, but I still need a copy of that. I like to support.
Thank you. I think it's good to know. And in addition to, because it's not just strictly like a how to not get a toxic job or how to leave. It also talks about some of my experiences, which, being on the other side of it, we can laugh and we could be like, what? But at the time, it was like traumatic. And I have a survey that's available. Sorry, I just plugged that. There's a survey.
I took that.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice. And I've been getting so much, insight. This is like so many people have dealt with this. I'm glad that many people are out of it. Like you said yourself, you were like, I'm out. I'm glad so many people have left, but there are still so many people that endure, this nonsense. So that book is my main project. Then I have, some more poetry that I've been working on. For those who follow me on Instagram, I have a couple poems up there. And I like to hop on, every now and then on like open mics. So that's that. I'm a few weeks away from getting my degree, so I can continue to, pursue different positions within human resources.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many
Thank
degrees
you.
do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree in healthcare management and then this master's degree in human resources management. And I feel like I'm gonna stop here, but my friends are like, watch. A couple of months from now, you'll be like, I'm going back to school again. Um, but and that's another book that I'm writing. It's called Don't Go Back to School. And a
Oh,
lot of people are like, girl, but you just went back.
hey, tell me, if you need somebody to study, you can study me. I stopped high school. School was not my friend, but it's about you. Go ahead.
So yeah, just writing things here and there. I want to help people, with whatever they have going on career wise with my HR expertise, whether it's interviewing skills, whether it's resumes. I do writing services. Um,
What you did for me. Thank you again.
no problem, and I love to do it. That's the thing. Like I really love to do this stuff.
I wish I knew you were in high school. I was paying you write my papers.
Well, they were copying off of me back then.
I mean, I did good. I got the B's. You would got me A's.
Most def. But yeah, that's it. I'm planning on resigning from, one of my positions because a lot of people who know me know, like I am like a juggler. So like 3 jobs and school, it's just like and writing a book.
You said 3 jobs.
I'm definitely like trying to make time
Hold on.
to
Stop. You said 3 jobs.
3.
Okay, so you Haitian, but you work like a Jamaican. Gotcha.
you know,
All right, where can you be reached at? Where can they go check out your work and the side hustle? Yeah, where they can reach? Where can you slow down, Chase? Where can you be reached at?
I can be reached. I'm on Instagram at Writing by Winifred. That is my main page where basically you will get it all. You will get the poetry, you'll see what I'm working on, you'll see me, studying on folks. Like that's where you'll see everything. And there's a link in my bio that connects you to the survey about toxic jobs. It connects you to the She Market website. Which has all my information as far as like what writing services I do. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me. You can literally almost every social media platform. You can find me. I have a YouTube page, but I'm still working on getting it together. But I would just say primarily, if you go to my Instagram page, click that link, you will see it all, and you can connect with me. I'm DM friendly because I know some people are like, don't DM me. I'm DM friendly. So hit me up, holler at me, let me know what's up. And yeah, I would love to work with any and everybody.
All right, there it is, folks. We're gonna get ready to wrap this up because it's Sunday. It's family day. I'm pretty sure she have more things to do. I have more things to do, but I want to thank each and every one of y'all. Once again, it's the Hive Game Project. Life is a game of chess. Make every move count. I'm Tayjon C, and this is Miss Winifred. Checkmate.